was the biggest swing that you took that all misses are the same because you end up with 0, right? And this is the height of
height of car washes.
Height of car washes.
This is a crazy story.
What was the multiple? So it's just to show where multiples were versus where they potentially are
the
today.
multiple was.
Let me ask you one more question. Do you love business brokering? What's up, Michael? Thanks for coming by, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming by. Thanks for hosting. So technically, I'm the one coming by. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So first of all, thanks for coming on. This is the intro and the pilot for the North Star Pod. So what was it, March-ish? I swung by your pod, What's the Dealio, with Jason. It was A, it was a blast. B, it was just a ton of value add for me to be able to kind of, it's not necessarily easy sitting down with you for an hour ever. So getting that experience was super cool. I got to obviously pick Jason's brain as well. He's a gem. And so A, thanks for that. But also B, what you didn't realize was that you were super detrimental to my journey being kicked off on the content creation side. So I would say this first pilot kickoff of the North Star Pod is kind of brought to you by Michael and Headstone.
Thank you.
So just wanted to
make it the best.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So first of all, wanted to kind of start off with a brief intro on yourself. So Michael is the CEO and founder of Headstone Business Brokerage or Business Advisory, formerly Empire. And over the last, probably, when did you kick off Headstone? When was that?
Jan 23.
January of 23. Wait, you started
Headstone
at January 2023.
Yes.
And when was your intro to business brokerage, and when did you found Empire?
So I founded Empire in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's when I founded it.
Founded in 2015. So we're inching up on 10 years in business brokerage.
Yes.
Incredible. And from my understanding, Michael has closed, in the ballpark of $1 billion in business transactions as a whole in the M&A world. Michael's, I would say, niche and real kind of, deals that you're generally living in. Obviously, you're industry agnostic, but the coolest part is that I would call you the car wash guy.
Car wash guy, restaurant guy, just smaller business, not really medium sized. I would say 20 million under is really my specialty. Now I'm getting to bigger deals, but yeah.
Incredible. And want to quickly just jump into the theme of the pod, and kind of we're gonna incorporate it into your world. So first off, the theme of the pod is the North Star Pod, right? So it's all about understanding what everyone's North Star is, and I would love to know what your North Star is. We're gonna kind of start by understanding who you are today, but what's really like kind of the most inspiration to me per se is that, I would love this pod is kind of geared towards younger entrepreneurs, younger brokers who are looking to, who are maybe in the beginning, maybe like me in my first year and a half in the industry, inching up on maybe 2 years. And, I'm looking at, hey, what are these successful guys and girls doing? What do they do? Where do they fall? Where do they see themselves in 10 years? Because I'm obviously looking at myself where I'll be in 10 years from now. So kind of wanted to take a step back, into the business brokerage world. Where were you? First of all, let's start even before that. Where did you grow up? What was your upbringing like? Who was Michael in elementary school?
Love that question. So Michael was always very competitive. In the 3rd grade, I started playing basketball, and I was very timid, to be honest. I wasn't good in the 3rd grade. So in the summer of my 3rd grade, going into 4th grade, my father used to train me. I give huge respect to my father. He works with me now, and Fred Steinberg. Shout out Fred Steinberg.
Shout out Fred.
So he taught me the love of my childhood basketball. And started 3rd grade, was terrible. He then tied my right hand behind my back. Going into 4th grade, I got good with my left hand. 4th grade, I was decent. On that summer, I outworked everyone in 4th grade. 5th grade, I was the #1 kid in the league. 6th grade, my parents got divorced. So it was a very tough time in my life. I was living in Wanto, and then I moved to Dix Hills. My mom got remarried within a year. Moved to Dix Hills. Played on the West Hollow basketball. Was the starting point guard. I'm just talking about basketball right now. was my mom and dad were separated. It was very tough coming up. A lot of a very tough childhood in that respect with emotions. Me and my brother, and I had four new step brothers and sisters.
Wow.
Living in Dix Hills. Just focused strictly on basketball. 7th grade, 8th grade was top 1 or 2 on the team. Same with 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. And I was very competitive in school. I was going to 5-star basketball camp, played against Kyrie Irving. Shout out to Kyrie Irving. I don't know if you remember me, he put it between my legs. Tobias Harris, we played against him. And big basketball. Then high school, I went to Towson. I left high school, I went to Towson University. And I was, I was a great basketball player, and I could have easily played and done well on Towson, which was a D1 AA. But I got into working out, and
you caught the bug.
I caught the bug, and I was 180 pounds going into my freshman year. In the beginning of my sophomore year, I was 250. Put on 70 pounds, all natural, all hard work, 4 hours a day in the gym.
What do the kids say? All natty?
All natty. No. Seriously, everyone's like, you're definitely, you're on juice. I'm like, no, I'm not. I work so freaking hard. I eat so much. I was like, how are you eating this much? So I put on 70 pounds of muscle, but it's the same thing. Basketball, working out, business. If you just keep with the results, you're going to get better. And put the hard work and get better and better. So I gained 70 pounds of muscle, was benching 500 pounds. The whole gym was clapping when they saw me bench. Dropped out of college, dropped out of Towson.
How many years in?
2 years in.
Okay.
Dropped out of Towson. My mom needed some help with, she's a single mom. I started working in the pizzeria I was working there in high school when I was 16, and then I came back after college and was working in the pizzeria right after Towson, and then I was going to Farmingdale, and then I just dropped out of Farmingdale. I was working in the pizzeria, and then while I was in the pizzeria, I met a business broker when I was 21.
Hold on a second. Sorry to interrupt you. Were you, your competitive, nature throughout school, was that primarily sports related, or did you have a side hustle, selling sodas, lifeguarding, writing papers, whatever that may be? You were devoted to the game. I
was broke as hell in college.
Right.
I was literally the brokest kid on the block. I had the biggest hoopty. Car broke down every 2 seconds. All I cared about was playing basketball and working out.
Your passions.
Yeah. But then I realized I had to make money.
Yeah.
But when that clicked, so I want to get into that. But
yeah.
That was it. Yeah.
That's incredible. So you moved back. You ended up working in the pizzeria, started delivering pizzas, and that's kind of when did that business, acumen kind of kick in your life? Was that back in Long Island or?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was back in Long Island when I had a $200 car. I had no money.
What car was it, man?
It was a Grand Marquis with the roof off. All my friends know it. It's a classic. My wife knows it too. And I met my wife then. And when I met my wife, I give her the credit because she's the one that really motivated me. I wanted to always do better for her. I didn't want anyone, it was always like, I got to be number one. I gotta be successful. I gotta get a new car. I gotta do what I gotta do. And I did. And, I put the hard work in the pizzeria. I was working 100 hours a week. I saw her after 9 o'clock. I would drive to Jersey every day. Not even kidding. I had no money.
It wasn't Jersey.
That's where she was.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah, she moved from Florida to Jersey. I would see her for 2 hours, and I would come back and go back to work the next day.
Wow.
So
pizza in hand.
Pizza, cars smell like pizza all the time.
It's part of the branding at that point.
So any of you young guys that complain that you don't make money your first year, you got to earn before you learn. That's a very, very good mindset to have. Don't try to earn before you learn. Learn before you earn.
That's honestly, I got to keep that in my back pocket. I'll break that out once in a while. So that's really interesting. So essentially, you're real. You're paying the need to pay bills and your car payment, your insurance payment, and eventually you met your wife, and that's really what kind of kicked off your entrepreneurial career,
Yes.
right? Because at that point you were, you're working for someone, you're working for the man, as they say.
Yeah, I was working for Joe at La Focaccia. Still a great friend of mine. I love Joe.
Shout out
Joe might be watching this.
That's awesome. And yeah, definitely shout out to Joe there. I mean, it's incredible to see, everyone has their own, I mean, let me put it this way. You have a lot of the world that's out there, working for the man, and then you have, I would say, in the last 5 years, you have a lot of young people out there that are really looking to kickstart their entrepreneurial career in a way. And, very often it starts with having, a main hustle. And someone recently told me that, through COVID and the last 4 years and change, everyone's got a side hustle. Everyone's a part-time entrepreneur somewhere. It's very rare that you see someone, or at least people that maybe me and you associate with, that don't have something else going on the side, that may still be working a 9 to 5, accountants, lawyers, etc. Not that they work 9 to 5, but that's another story. Yeah. So you met Joe. Joe had you were hustling, you were delivering pizzas, working the pizzeria. And then from there, that kind of opened you up. You knocked on someone's door one day to deliver a pizza. And what was that experience like that changed your life?
So this guy comes into the pizzeria making boxes. This is a true story. And, he asks for a couple of slices. I get the slices in, and then he throws down a black card. And I'm like, never seen. I picked it up. I'm like, whoa, that's heavy. And I was strong. I'm like, wow, that's heavy. And I'm like, I asked him. I said, what do you do? I was really curious. I've never seen a black card before. And he's like, I sell businesses. And I was like, really? Do you need a real estate license for that? And he's like, in New York, you don't. He's like, I actually just sold that pizzeria, which is 2 miles away. And
you knew that pizzeria?
I knew the pizzeria. I'm like, well, you sold the pizzeria? And yeah, I got a 10% fee. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, I sold it for $400,000. I made $40,000. You made $40,000 in one deal? It's more than I make all year.
Wow.
I'm like, could I come to your office? He's like, and he got a liking to me. And he's like, yeah, come to my office.
He saw the hustle.
He saw the hustle.
Sorry to interrupt you. What's interesting? I think most kids kind of who are like entrepreneurs, business owners now, they kind of start a little earlier. They're always kind of wheeling and dealing in school something. I think that broker, what was his name?
Sheldon Manheim.
Sheldon. I think Sheldon saw that like in real time kind of evolving within you. And he's like, yeah, we got to get this guy a seat somewhere.
Yeah, he did. Respect to him. I learned so much from him. He's such a smart guy. So you want me to keep going?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, let me ask you this. When it comes to, your first, what was your first thought process? Because the idea is I want to be able to kind of encapsulate what, entrepreneurs are looking at when they first start, right? Not obviously there's always good stories to tell when you're 10, 15 years in. You've got swings, misses, swings, and, grand slams, but taking that perspective from a new rookie entrepreneur or broker in your case, or business advisor in your case, what was that? What did you see looking, young Michael at, what were you? This is 9 years ago. So what are you, 15, 14 years old? I'm messing with you.
22.
You're 22. What was Michael looking at 22 years old? He's like, all right, I think I may have found this itch of an industry that I need to scratch.
I was just looking at, it was my competitive edge. I saw everyone pull up when I was behind the counter in the pizzeria, everyone who's in restaurants, when you're behind the counter and you see a brand new Porsche pull up, an R8 pull up, all these cars, these people with their families, they have money. It just motivated the shit out of me. If they can do it, they're a human being. Why can't I do it? Why can't I learn how to be successful? If they can do it, I could do it. Look at what I built. I was jacked. I was like, look what I did with my body. I could do this in business. So I was so competitive. That was the way I looked at it.
The only thing stopping you is literally up until then was your imagination.
Yeah, that's it. If you're out there right now, to all the viewers that are watching this that are young, if you're out there and you have doubts about anything, don't, because there's so much opportunity in this world. Everyone says there's a recession, times are bad. Get that out of your head. Always change your perspective. Always think positive. There's so much opportunity. You can make money right now. You can make $10,000 today if you want. If I wanted to right now, if I just focused on selling smaller ticket items, I can make as much money as I want in one day. That's the mindset I have.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's very often stopping people. They get used to not taking any risk and not thinking outside of the box, right? And those two, once you can get your head and your emotions really, around changing both of those, like the world is endless. As long as you have a little bit, saved up to pay the bills, or if you're lucky, you're still living by your parents, where you don't have that, pressure, that gun to your head to pay the rent at the end of the month or the beginning of the month. You're set. I mean, you give it, 3-6 months. You write it down somewhere for accountability purposes, and you take it from there. Quick question for you. What would you say? So you're looking down the road, you see a huge opportunity. The pizzeria business like the back of your hand.
Inside and out.
You know the pizzeria business like the back of your hand. You start realizing, hey, if I contact pizzeria owners that are looking to sell, you may have buyers from your network. What did Sheldon tell you?
So Sheldon that's a great question. I can really go into that. Really interesting. So Sheldon brought me to his office, and I just observed. I was the type of person that I didn't want to talk too much, and this is a good tip for everyone. Don't talk too much. If you don't know, listen, absorb, pick certain things from certain people. That's very important. Don't pick everything. He wasn't perfect. I picked a lot of things from him. I didn't like a lot of stuff, to be honest, that he was doing too. So I chose what I wanted to do. But I learned about how to get listings. I learned the old school way. This guy's been doing it for 55 years as a business broker.
Oh, really?
I picked up
Is he still active?
Not really. No.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But we still talk. He's still a great friend of mine.
I'm sure he's a mentor also.
He was a mentor for sure.
Right.
Yeah. But I picked up from him how to meet people in person. Always dress good. Right now, I came back from the gym, but
coming back from the gym, and he's repping Hedgestone.
And I'm repping Hedgestone.
Turn around,
and look at the camera here. So I learned how to get listings. I learned how to meet buyers. I learned the name of the game in selling businesses is getting your own listings, so you control your own buyers. That was huge, because I got screwed up many times with buyers.
And by the way, that's something we're going to jump on very soon. Is about just understanding, what pivots and what changes have you made over the years. And I feel like anyone who's been through the ringer, and it's not a bad experience. It's just a learning experience when you don't have 1,000% control, or at least when you think you have 1,000, you never really have.
I have some crazy, mind-blowing stories to tell you.
I can't wait.
Mind-blowing. You're gonna be like, whoa.
So tell me about, what was your first opportunity, at least in the pizzeria space? We'll touch on that real quick, and then I want to hear about that transition that you took all the skills you learned from the pizzeria business, which I think, in my opinion, was just a vessel to learn, right? And then you took that to, one thing I could say about Michael that I can't say for myself is, Michael somehow is like a master of being industry agnostic. Like, I know how. He surrounds himself by really talented people who have industry knowledge and expertise when it comes to specific, food and beverage, gas station, car washes, healthcare, hotels, and you surround yourself by these experts. And that's I guess that's probably your secret sauce. Don't want to put words in your mouth. But what would you tell me about what you learned from Sheldon, and then from there, how did you transition to that into other industries, or what was your next step, maybe a year down the road? I want
to continue because it gets interesting.
Yeah.
So the pizzeria, real quick, I learned.
Please.
I learned how to interact with people. That's what I learned from Joe. I give him so much respect behind the counter. How are you? How you doing? What kind of slice do you want? Like, I learned that personal sales behind the counter, which was great. Sheldon, I just learned the fundamentals of business brokering. From there, I started selling pizzerias, and I met someone who lived in Dubai, and he wanted to buy a pizzeria, and he wanted to own a pizzeria here. So I sold him a pizzeria in Manhattan. I can't say names, but I sold him a pizzeria in Manhattan, and I was able to get the commission, and I was able to become a 50%. I was able to strategically become a 50% partner and get the full commission. It was an $800,000 deal.
Wow. So
that changed my life. That deal changed my life. I was commuting from Massapequa. Then I was in Massapequa. I was living with my mom in Melville, helping her pay the rent, the mortgage. Moved to Massapequa with my wife Natalie.
You were married at this point?
No, she was my girlfriend.
Okay, I got you. Nice.
Moved to Massapequa, commuting to the city. I owned 24 years old. I owned a pizzeria on 5th Avenue, paying $30,000 a month in rent. Pizzeria was doing $35,000 a month. I got it to $45,000, $30,000 a week. 35. I got to 45,000 a week myself, just being there. I brought in my friend Tony, who slept in the pizzeria with me. Shout out to Tony, one of my best friends. And we brought the business up another 500,000 a year, and then we flipped it. In the meantime, when I was at the pizzeria, I started selling other businesses. I met Al from Washville. He owns 25 car washes. He helped me get into the car wash space, and I started selling car washes from my pizzeria in Manhattan. I sold my first car wash in Valley Stream. The owner went behind my back, and she screwed over the buyer, and they went to court, and I was totally not involved.
This is your first car
This
wash
is my first car wash deal.
Wow.
I found the buyer. She went behind my back. She sold it to the buyer. I found out. I had a lawyer. I had agreements. I had a lawyer send her. She sent me
You're all papered up.
She sent me a $45,000 fee. I split it with Al because he's the one who got me the deal, and I made like $25,000 on that deal. And I still was making money I was making money. 24 years old. I was making over 150,000 back then, which was good. Wasn't amazing. It was good. And from there, I got into car washes, and then I left the pizzeria. We sold it, and then that's when all the magic happened.
Wow. So that's a real entry in a dramatic fashion to the car wash industry.
Yeah, that was the first car wash deal.
That's incredible.
And I learned how to pressure people, and now I have stories that will blow everyone's mind. I don't even tell anyone in my company, but I'm going to say it here.
Tell us your. I mean, some call it pressure, some call it leverage. What are some of your? I mean, I know the leverage that we generally pitch when we're talking about really any deal that we feel could be attractive to either the average buyer, the average either operator, silent investor, or a fund that's looking for a specific business, or strategic, right? Strategics usually have a specific need for a business in a certain location or market, and they obviously maybe pay a little bit of a premium at it. So having those network connections obviously comes in key. Is this kind of what you brought to your? Is this what you leveraged? I mean, I'm guessing because I learned from you. Obviously, you're my Sheldon in a way. Is this something that you kind of leverage as well?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little different for me because back then there wasn't as much dry powder as there is now with strategics and with those types of buyers. Back then, all I did was send mail out. Like in 2014, 2015, there was not a lot of there was no social media like that. There was no website. There was, but I used to just send envelopes out to pizzerias with my listings on them. I used to stand in Restaurant Depot, and I used to hand out flyers, and they used to kick me out of Restaurant Depot. I used to with my mom. I used to go at 10 o'clock at night to shopping centers, slip letters underneath doors. The one thing I'm confident, and everyone will think I'm crazy, I am a little crazy, no one can really outwork me. I don't think anyone can outwork me. It's impossible. And I say that confidently. Maybe people are like, yeah, I could, but that's the mentality you have to have. That's my mentality. I always think no one's going to outwork me.
Wow. No, I mean, listen, I'm firsthand experience of that. I know Michael works probably, it feels like 30 hours a day. And that's what it feels like sometimes. Because when I call you, there's just sometimes not enough time to even get to what we need to get to. And that's between, juggling two phones. I got this deal on that. I mean, I've been in the car with you for a half hour, and you see the amount of deal flow you see it personally, and also within the business on the brokering side, is probably the amount that I see in a month. So it's the hustle is definitely there, and from starting off way early in basketball, high school, your competitive edge, and when it came to sports and athletics, obviously that's where it started, and you just turned the passion to another part of your life.
Yeah, business.
So you said obviously the motivation to that, was the kind of the hint and the tease to starting a family, meeting your wife Natalie, that kind of progressed you.
Seeing my mom as a single mom.
Wow, and all that was what drove you to realize, hey, I not only want to take all this time and energy, because energy and time are really the most expensive thing we have. And kind of target that towards sports. You kind of wanted to target that to your eventual career and your ability to to financial freedom, be able to look around and own businesses, broker businesses, and I would say most importantly, build quality relationships.
That's definitely the most important. And going back to what you said about time, like my best phrase that I preach is time capital, and that means that you can make all the money in the world, you can lose all the money in the world, but you can't get time back. And time is the best commodity that everyone has. So really be present. And everyone says this, and this is, I like to preach this: be present. Don't stress yourself out thinking about the future. You have to think about the future, but be present, because that's how you're going to capitalize on your time.
Incredible. I mean, you obviously have a lot of learning experiences throughout the years. What was your, I would say, whether that be, content on the video side or on the reading side, again, not to date you, but this may have been the days where you were into Tony Robbins 10 years ago.
I was listening in the pizzeria world. I got his whole cassettes.
There we go. That's what I was looking for.
Of all of his,
nice.
Of all of his, my mom bought it, $300, and I would every delivery I would listen to it, and he motivated the shit out of me. And I know his son.
Oh, really?
I know his son. I spoke to his son. He was interested in car washes. I met his daughter. I know his family. He probably knows me. He might know me.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe. Maybe yet. Maybe not.
Maybe yet. Maybe not.
Soon.
Yeah. Definitely soon.
Amazing. And so, what influenced you from a content perspective, right? Because we have, at least these days, we have content literally down our esophaguses. Everywhere we turn, you're surrounded by content. I think back, 10 years ago, although it's not, it's not that long ago. Content was probably just becoming a little more prevalent into, literally being at arm's reach everywhere. You didn't have to go to a library to get a book maybe back then, but maybe you had to log onto the computer to go on social to see something you wanted. So where would you say from a content perspective, what did you surround yourself with? Did you have kind of maybe a few books, or maybe, I know we got your favorite here, but what stands out to you as the most instrumental when it comes to content that affected your life?
I was told, I would say 3 years ago at this time, I had no content. I didn't put the effort into it. I should have done it earlier.
Sorry to interrupt you. What content did you intake? Who did you read? Who did you watch? Who did you listen to? So obviously Tony Robbins. I'm about to jump into your content journey in a second, because
Grant Cardone.
Grant Cardone
is a huge influence when you first, when he's
Mr. 10X himself.
10X. I'm friends with his pilot. I had him on my podcast. Huge influence into my content life. And just honestly, it really wasn't anyone. It was just thinking outside the box and seeing that no one that sells businesses is doing this. And once I realized that, I'm like, I gotta take this fucking industry over. Cody Sanchez does it. I've spoken to Cody many times. She knows who I am. She's amazing. She's so talented, but she's not actively, she's not a broker.
Yeah.
So there's no one really doing it.
She's an operator, I guess.
She's an operator.
Yeah.
She's a great thought leader.
Yeah. No, 100%. Honestly, I think half the people that we speak to, who are interested in the deals are kind of influenced by Cody.
Yes.
Her reach on YouTube definitely,
Tremendous.
touched and sparked a lot of, entrepreneurs that, are taking their first journey and maybe buying their first laundromat, their first car wash. So that's, super impressive. The service industry as a whole, when it comes to home services, I know that's kind of also in the on the buffet of businesses that she recommends, and that's definitely something we wheel and deal pretty often. So that's incredible. Let's jump into your content journey. When was your first day that you realized I need to change the way I'm looking at my social my social, I don't know, reach, or
my social identity platforms.
I guess just what your relationship was with social media. You can either be taking or you can be giving. And obviously, if you give to social media and create content, it'll end up coming back to you like a boomerang.
Yeah.
So when did that relationship change from someone maybe listening or watching, content to that journey of kicking off your own content?
When my good friend Justin Aronoff, and I give him the credit, when my good friend Justin Aronoff told me, you should he straight up was blunt. He's like, you got to get your social media better. I was like, damn, like that? He's like, yeah, because the kid's so well connected. He's the guy. So he told me that, and then it clicked. That clicked. I was like, he's right. Why am I not going out there, putting myself out there? Why do I care what other people think? Don't care what anyone thinks. Just do it.
Exactly.
You have one life to live.
YOLA, as they say. That's incredible. And and how long ago was this?
That was 3 years ago.
Wow. And how many followers are you up to now on IG?
150 something thousand.
Incredible. And talk to me LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, I've made millions of dollars on. I'm not exaggerating. I've gotten deals on LinkedIn just by putting myself out there. Deals came into me. And then I put those same deals, I tested it, I put those same deals back on LinkedIn. The guy who gave me the deal could have done it. I put it back on LinkedIn and I sold it from LinkedIn. And I've done that. I've made over $1 million for sure doing that. And LinkedIn, it's just, you meet so many people. We're doing a huge deal, me and Brian right now. We got the buyer from LinkedIn. The other deal that we're doing, we got the buyers from LinkedIn, you know?
Yeah.
LinkedIn's huge.
LinkedIn, in my opinion, is a buyer bank. I know when I have a deal that's, you know, whether it could be a challenging deal, it could be an easy deal, you know, every deal is different. I based off of I'll give away some secret sauce here. I know when I'm looking for buyers in a specific industry, whether, you know, I specifically target a little bit more, I'm leaning usually healthcare manufacturing. I didn't just wake up with any contacts. I read endless amounts of news briefs about, you know, XYZ private equity firm buying XYZ manufacturing business or XYZ, you know, string of healthcare facilities. You know, there's always buyers who are contacting us, but I would say let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Not everyone is as serious as others, you know?
Yeah.
So I know when I'm looking at folks who have actively purchased something recently, and I know that I go to their websites and they have press releases from what they purchased recently. I can see the price points, the valuations.
And you would call those
markets,
people, right?
100%. And
That's the difference.
It's all LinkedIn.
That's the difference.
That's all LinkedIn, because everything, any good buyer that's legitimate is posting their accomplishments on LinkedIn.
And I got the CEO, I'm not even joking, I got the CEO of Marriott from LinkedIn. I reached out to Marriott directly. There's no secrets here. It's hard work. I reached out to Marriott directly, and I got the CEO to respond to me, and he put me in touch with his South American team.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's just literally, I would say on the sell side sometimes it's maybe a little different because we're dealing more often than not with a generation that may not be on LinkedIn. And that's kind of on us to try to go ahead and find them. You know, maybe I know you're gung-ho on getting letters out there, and you want to share the hotel story? How you landed that? Can you say it?
Yeah.
Can you share the sauce?
I'm fine with saying it.
Spill the beans.
So I found out through, I don't know, I can't remember how I found out, but I just found out that this hotel was for sale. And I literally just knocked on doors, and I was able to get to the sellers who own the hotel. This is the Ondies on Wall Street, everyone. I got to the owners of the hotel. I showed the hotel to a foreign group, and I met the sellers, and I that's the relationship. I met them, and then we hit it off, and I told them, listen, this group is not the right group, but I have someone else, and I didn't have someone else. So then I had my assistant put together the top 20 hotel buyers in New York. I called 19 of them. I'm not even joking. I called 19 out of the 20. The 20th one, in Avika Capital, I can say it because it's public records. I called up the CEO. My friend Sam got me the cell phone number, and he was included on the deal. He got me the cell phone number of the CEO of the group. I called the CEO of the group. I pitched him. I said, this is a perfect value add opportunity. It's closed. We're asking $330,000 a key. This hotel will trade for $500,000 a key when it's open. There's so much upside. Pitched him the deal. He signed the NDA. I sent him the information. Like, the guy's so real, the CEO. He's like, let's meet. I brought him to the hotel. We met with the owners on the spot, all in person, on the spot. We got a deal done. The LOI went through me. I sent the LOI. It went amazing. The problem with that deal, and I don't care, I'll say anything on camera, I'll say it to anyone's faces, I didn't get it papered up correctly. That was my learning experience.
You want to maybe just jump into specific? Was there the LOI maybe? I mean,
the LOI had me, so I was protected on the commission. But
on the buy side or the sell
both,
side,
I put them together. And
without you had. I mean,
it's fine.
Fuck it, I'll say it. I mean, I do that from time to time. You know, I mean, I will shout out to Brian Dunn. Right, we're dealing with a healthcare deal. Seller told me his price, and it was a difficult deal. It was a franchise. There's not a lot of franchise. There's not the average private equity and operator in the healthcare world or in the home healthcare world is not going to go out and easily buy a franchise. Even if the deal is good, it's usually a deal breaker. So we had to go out and find a buyer that was okay with it and that healthcare experience as well. So both of those are usually healthcare buyers are on their 6th, 7th, 8th, 15th deal. And then the ones that have experience don't want franchises. Yeah. So it's catch-22. So I found this seller. He told me I'll sell it if we have an LOI. I got an IOI in, right? Not papered up yet. It happens to be both parties are very trustworthy. But long story short, the seller's business is growing 20% already halfway through the year. He's like, I'm just not selling. But long story short, I've done that before. I just do it again. And putting the cart before the horse in the brokerage world is something you sometimes just got to do.
You got to do it, but you got to have paper trail.
Paper trail is a must.
Text messages in New York, every state's different. In New York, text messages are tremendous in court. I've been in court. When you do a lot of business, you're going to go to court. It doesn't mean you're a bad guy. It just, you get screwed over and it happens. I know from experience, I've been through the ringer. And I'm young, but I've been through the ringer. I know text messages work really well, getting things in writing, and that's what I do. Emails, phone calls are great, but you want emails, text messages.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was able to get a really nice fee on this deal.
Were they just sorry to interrupt you? When it didn't go well, was that because they weren't trying to cut you out, were they?
They were never trying to cut me out. The sellers and the buyers were never trying to cut me out, but I should have got double the fee I got, but I still got a great fee. But whatever. It's not going to change my life.
The experience.
But the experience that I got in this $85 million hotel, now I can talk to anybody from not just from this deal, from experience. I can control any conversation, whether it's with Donald Trump, whether it's anyone. I know I could. That's the confidence that this stuff will give you.
That's incredible. Yeah, and listen, getting deals under your belt, you know, very often brokers early on kind of like are upset about the commissions, you know, early on if it's not as high, but it's just so important to get those small wins, from the transaction, you know, experience, the swings that you'll take, you know, the swings that you'll hit and the swings that you'll miss.
And you'll miss more than you hit.
Yeah.
Way more than you hit.
Speaking of which, check this out. What would you say your most, what's the biggest swing that you took okay, all misses are the same because you end up with zero, right? Yeah, you allocate more or less time and money to a deal. You know, maybe you flew out, maybe you spent hours and days and months on the phone with attorneys trying to negotiate things out. And I feel like, what's one swing that you took that missed that, you know, it stands out in your career?
You want to hear it?
Tell us.
It's the craziest
story ever. And by the way,
ever.
I'm only bringing this up because I feel like Michael is the biggest promoter of business brokering as a whole. I don't think he'll necessarily even push people to Hedgestone. I think he's more about bring more good talent into the industry. I think he knows he'll end up at Hedgestone. But when all is said and done is that I think what we don't talk about enough, because it's hard to talk about deal, you know, scenarios with keeping everyone anonymous, right? It's hard to do that because the businesses, besides for the people, the businesses will never blend into a story of a million other businesses. It's usually the people that you can keep anonymous, but it's hard to keep the business anonymous.
Yes.
So yeah, shoot us with a story. That's why I kind of want to highlight some stories.
And man, this is a crazy story. It's going to take 2 minutes, but this is the craziest story in the business brokerage world, hands down. So
sorry, when we're looking for a miss here, we're not looking. I know you have.
No. This is something.
I know you got.
Your mind's about to be blown right now.
Show me.
Okay. So I'm in. This is a car wash deal. Okay. So I sold this guy's car wash in 2019. 2 partners. One of the partners I love, great guy. The other partner is a complete douchebag. And I don't care. I don't really talk bad about people. This is the only person. So I'm gonna tell you the story. So I sold it $5.5 million.
You have a bottle of champagne in your office like Dave Portnoy?
No, but I should.
You should have.
Yeah.
Get a champagne cooler.
I should. This is a crazy.
Sorry,
this is a crazy story.
I always interrupt people. Go ahead.
This is a crazy. So I sold this car wash. Great relationship. They like me now. You know, we had a good relationship at the beginning. one partner I'm still friends with. And then I see another car wash, and I sell, they're the buyers. Like I sold their car wash, then they bought this car wash in Plainview. I don't even care, I'm gonna say it. They bought the Plainview car wash from me for $2.8 million.
What year was this?
2020.
Okay. Oh,
so,
wow.
So I sold in 2019 the Rockville Center location. Don's a great guy. I don't want to talk about that deal because I like Don. 2020, I sold them Plainview for $2.8 million, and they did very well in the deal. I made like $100K. They reduced my fee a lot at the closing, and I made about $100K on the deal, which I was fine with. And then 2022, we re-engaged. The seller reached out to me. So he reached out, he's like, could you sell all three? I gave him an evaluation. It was about $23 million.
Wow.
I found the buyer.
With property.
With property. I found the buyer. I sold them Plainview for 2.8. Keep that in mind.
Oh, sorry, 1 second. And this is the height of
height of car washes.
Height of car washes.
This is a crazy story.
What was the multiple? So it's just to show where multiples were versus where they potentially are
the
today.
multiple was a 10-time multiple.
Wow. Okay.
10-time multiple. I got them a private equity. I won't say the name of the buyer because I like them. I got them a private equity buyer to buy it. The problem here is I did 2 deals with them in the past, so we were friends, right? So I didn't really get everything teed up the right way. I got it teed up, but not the right way. That's very important to get everything in writing. We were good friends. I made over $200,000 with them so far. We're going into this deal. So I get the $23 million deal. Luckily, I recommend them to an attorney that they use, which is, thank God. I send my commission agreement. I send the LOI. And then the seller, who was supposedly my friend, says, I can only pay you $100K on a $23 million deal. I said, cancel the deal. It's done. I'm not doing the deal.
So you had a buy-side agreement on this?
No buy side.
So your friend was the
my friend at the time was the seller.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
And it was supposed to be a 4%, just like the other deals, a 4% fee. That's what we agreed to.
Okay.
And he's like, I only can pay you $100K.
And just to be clear, 4% is not the way we generally do business.
No, but it's an $800,000 fee.
Exactly.
It's actually almost $1 million.
It's a very large deal, and that's usually when we start getting, a little bit negotiable on our fees.
And something clicked, and he's like, I only want to pay you $100K. I'm like, you know what? The deal's off. I told the buyer, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And then he tried to go behind my back with the buyer directly. So what I did was I called the litigation attorney, and I filed a lawsuit when he tried to go behind my back right away. So yeah, can't do the deal.
All
then the buyer
they'll have non-circumvents.
The buyers, because I sent it to the buyer and the seller. The buyer was like, I told the buyer, I'm like, ignore that. That's just to scare the seller. I think he'll come up. He didn't come up. He came up to $150,000. So I said, you know what? F it. I'm never doing business again with these people. Let's just do it. The deal didn't happen. Okay?
Karma's a bitch.
The deal didn't happen. So then he called me back, the seller, and I was good friends with his right-hand man. That's the only reason why I came back to him. Like, you know what? I have another buyer.
Listen.
And I didn't give up. Anyone else would have gave up.
We have buyers is not bullshit. We have.
So in December 2022, I introduced him to another buyer who is one of my partners right now, to be honest. And they don't know that. So and this is the story. So I introduced him to one of my mentors, great friends, love him to death, do so much business with him, changed my life in a lot of ways in the way I think, and he taught me how to raise capital. And I introduced him to Ken, and we met, and we got a deal done. And the guy tried to screw me again, the seller.
Really?
And he tried to do it again.
And were you papered up at all at this point?
I was papered up, but he's like,
there's some people.
So you know what I did? I said, okay, but I knew he was going to do it so I made a deal with Ken. I'm like, listen, if you buy this deal, I need to get a percentage on your end. I need to get a percentage of the equity. So I was able to get equity on the 3 car washes, which led into 9, by the way. I negotiated into 9 equity into 9 from this deal. So I have equity on the deal that pays me a salary, right? I was able to get an advisory fee on the buy side, and I was able to get on the sell side, which I just got my last payment yesterday, which now I'm going to file. We'll talk about that. So I made the deal. It took a year to close on Belrose and Floral Park. I got equity in the Empire Group. On the board of it. I'm on the board of the whole company. We closed on Belrose. We got membership up to 50% of revenue. I'm putting headstone signs in every location we have. 9 locations right now, going on 13. He's my partner in the car wash group. A year passes by. We haven't closed on Plainview and Floral Park. We haven't closed on Plainview. We just closed on Plainview this April.
Wow.
I got 50% of my fee that the seller was supposed to give me. And as of yesterday, I've been chasing him for my fee. It's a lot of money. I've been chasing him for my fee. The tactics that I'm using, the text messages, all my pressure points I'm using. No one goes through this stuff. This is big. This is millions of dollars. I was able to extract more money out of him. I drove down to Florida to go to his house. That's how strategic I was, and I got paid $50,000 there. Everyone's like, "Why are you going down to Florida?" I'm like, "He's not gonna pay me." I met him in Florida. I said, "You gotta pay me."
Something's got to be in person, especially with certain.
I made him meet me. I made him give me $50,000 in cash. I'm gonna tell you, give me in cash, green money, right? I'm depositing that in the bank, so it's up to him to deposit it. I don't like these guys. They're bad people, and I don't care.
Yeah,
so,
listen, I mean, I think
this makes it exciting, right?
Have you washed your hands by now from that deal?
Yeah,
you're done. You moved on.
No, I'm not done.
You're not done.
I'm not done. So then the other day, this is not going live for a week or two. Right?
Well, I'll get it edited. Don't worry about it.
Another day. Yesterday, I got a $25,000 check. I'm supposed to get a $125,000 check. So they screwed me on 100. So now what I'm gonna do?
They're real shyster.
They're real shysters. Now what I'm gonna do? I can't say it, but. Part 2 is coming, but this was the biggest learning experience. They don't even know I have equity in their own car washes. They're going to find out pretty soon because I'm about to do some crazy social content. I'm not losing sleep over this stuff.
They sold it at this point.
So they sold it. We own it.
They don't have any equity in the deal.
They have no equity.
They didn't roll over.
They're done.
Okay, so yeah, that's awesome. So they're going to know afterwards.
They're going to know afterwards. And I have plans. I can't say it, but
I can't wait to be seen on on the next episode.
But think about this. I sold in Plainview for 2.8. 3 years later, I sold it for 5.6. 3 years, they doubled their investment. Wow. I did so right by them. And sometimes
that's
you
why
get
the buy side
smacked in the face.
Yeah.
The buy side. But sometimes you get punched in the face in sales in this game.
Yeah.
But the key is to never give up and to always exhaust all your engines.
100%. That's amazing, honestly, and that's the type of story that I would say that's not necessarily a swing and a miss, right?
I just wanted to say that story because a lot of people would have gave up on the first try.
I would say it looked like it would be a grand slam, but I think when all said and done, I think
it was a grand slam.
It was a grand slam, but I would say it was like more of an art, like a single. You hit a single. And I think you knocked all the runners in. You got 3 RBIs with that.
Yeah.
It was slow and painful.
It was so it was a 3-year deal. And I've learned what I've learned. It would take people 20 years to learn what I've learned in this deal.
Incredible. Two last questions for you. We'll start with one. Looking at me, you get kind of a 30,000 foot view of my, where I'm at, what I'm doing, what I'm failing at, what I'm winning at. If you were me, right? Let's say with the 2 or 3 niches that I'm kind of focusing on at the moment, what would you do differently if you were me, with someone who has a vision in this career of brokering always and also getting involved in deals in the next year or two, slowly but surely as well?
I would focus on. If I was you, I would just focus on what you're great at. That's it. You hire everyone else for things that you're not great at. So I would focus on getting listings in the healthcare space. I would just focus on getting listings. That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
How are you going to do that? How are you going to get listings?
Very good question. So we're not going to give away too much of the secret sauce, but I have 2 very fundamental cornerstones to the way I have deal flow. A is everyone who I speak to, including buyers, by the way, because this I learned from Brian Dunn. Buyers are very often sellers, and thinking of a buyer as someone who's just looking to buy. First of all, you can usually smell if they're new, if it's a guy or gal who's, working a 9 to 5, doesn't have any real assets besides maybe a home. great. He's a buyer maybe, or she's a buyer. But someone who owns 3 or 4 businesses that's looking for their 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th business, and they have one specific niche, understand what their portfolio is like. Maybe they do need to offload 1 or 2 assets. Understand, and again, these are relationships that are built over years, right? It's like I can't remember who said this, but relationships over transactions, right?
Yep.
Where I would say one of the best parts are the relationships. The transactions are awesome. I love getting paid.
They'll come with it.
They'll come with it. But if you focus on the relationship, so asking them questions about their portfolio, especially if it's in a specific niche like manufacturing, healthcare, food and beverage, hotels, these are all very unique asset classes that ultimately, by you asking them very unique questions, it A, shows that you're an expert, but also B, you can get an understanding as to what they may want to offload at some point soon. And then here's the other thing. You can also ask them, what deals have you seen recently, maybe that you've spoken to a seller, there was no advisor involved, on the M&A side to broker the deal, that maybe you feel wasn't a good fit for you, or maybe it wouldn't be a good fit for anyone, but maybe I have a vision of what that deal how that deal could be of value if positioned correctly to the right buyer. Because we just speak to so many people that one person's garbage may be the other person's gold, and that's usually the case actually. So
how big do you want to get though? Do you want to have hundreds of listings, or do you want to just work on 10, 20, 30 listings yourself?
I would say throughout the year, and then I would say and this kind of leads me to my next question, and it's a good transition there, is in the next 5 years, I want to be selling between 20 to 30 businesses a year, and I don't want to do that myself. Like I know that
have a team.
I don't want to have my own. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to be managing and necessarily teaching people just yet. I want to surround myself. So I have right now a mix of 2 to 4 VAs on a good day. I have Brian's my cornerstone for anything valuation.
He's so talented.
I mean, the guy's
a gem.
Guy's a gem.
The guy's a gem. Honestly, that guy's a beast.
So again, just and having guys and girls who will really be able to take. I mean, what I want to be doing all day is pitching myself and our team to sellers and pitching deals to buyers. But over time, I would say the one thing I did learn over the last year that I think changed dramatically, I'm not speaking to as many buyers as I used to per day. I'm speaking to a lot more sellers.
Good.
And that's, I know once I have I'm generally, for every deal we take on, which right now we're getting up there, we're bringing in, I know it may sound small, but 1 to 2, closer to 1 these days still, very solid listings and deals that we're bringing into the business per month. And that will, in my opinion, I don't need to speak, and I think that's usually about 4 deals that we don't take on. Whether that's because they're not sellable, or whether that's because the deal is
unrealistic.
It's unrealistic, usually unrealistic, or sometimes, unfortunately, as much as I wish I can allocate time and energy to smaller deals,
too small.
It's just too small, right? And I know that with a smaller deal, there's going to be a lot more buyers. But
you should pass that on to somebody else.
So I started doing that.
Yeah.
I started doing that, but also I do feel like I'm taking responsibility for a deal like that. So I'm also kind of very weary. I'm not jumping to just take a deal in. Let's say I'm not going to get into numbers, but a smaller healthcare deal, I'm not necessarily going to take that on because I want to know that it's going to be treated like it was a $50 million deal. And that's not something I could say anyone's really going to do.
Yeah.
At least I speak for myself.
Yeah. So
my next question is, for yourself, for Hedgestone, where do you see yourself? Because Michael's got multifaceted parts of his business. You're an operator, you're an equity owner, you raise capital, and you broker the deals. So where do you see and you're a straight buyer as well. When we say we have qualified buyers, this guy.
Thank you.
No, but long story short is, where do you see the business in 10 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Hedgestone as a whole, as a brokerage, and then where do you see yourself, as a dad, husband, operator, investor, and broker? I feel like, do you see yourself still brokering deals in 10 years from now?
I see myself on the board, but I see Hedgestone, and people are going to think I'm out of my mind, but I'm just going to say it.
And just the theme of this, and when I wrote down the notes, which I'm clearly looking at to ask Michael, is what's your Babe Ruth moment? When you're pointing towards the outfield, what's your shot that you want to call out there that we can hold you accountable in 10 years from now?
You're gonna think I'm crazy. Is it okay?
Right here, live, the pilot of the North Star Pod.
You're gonna think I'm crazy.
Shoot me, bro.
Headstone is gonna be the next Berkshire Hathaway.
You want to build a fat holdco?
It's gonna be a My goal is to try to get to Elon Musk. I want to own a piece of almost every business in the United States. That's my personal goal. I want Headstone to be the #1 business advisory firm in the whole world by a million miles. I want to be the next Berkshire. I want to have tens of thousands of quality-only advisors in the world it's just dealful. When people look up deal in the dictionary, Headstone shows up. Headstone shows up.
When you search deal on Google, I think Headstone will rank one.
#1.
The dictionaries. I mean, who needs a dictionary? You have Google these days. You could rank on Google.
Yeah,
that's today's dictionary.
We're ranking on New York business brokers.
One minute. If everyone out there, Google New York business broker, and comment what comes up first.
Yeah, do that, and you'll see that this comes up. But to answer your question, the more important part of the question is husband, father, family member, friend, colleague, mentor. That to me is way more important than money, business, everything. I strive myself to be the best person I can be to everyone. I'm going to be the best father. I try to be the best father I could to my girls.
Well, I was texting Mike this morning. He's like, I'm dropping off my kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
I'm a very involved father.
And by the way, mentorship all the way through. Like, again, I'm gonna have my first kid. My boy's due in August, right? Which is super exciting.
Congratulations.
Crazy stuff, man.
It's the best ever.
Right? Like, I'm looking around at, like, you start all of a sudden putting on this lens of like, all right, who are the people around me who are doing incredible amounts of business that can't find enough time in the day, right? And I'm looking at like, wait, how are they, if they're allocating time to their family, no judgments if they're not, and maybe a little bit, but like B is, how are they pulling that off? And, I think it just takes a certain amount of, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, because this is what I'm asking more on a mentorship level is, time allocation, obviously priorities, but also multitasking, like
multitasking, but what you said is priorities.
Priorities, yeah.
Honestly, at 6 o'clock, I take my phone and I put them in another room and I shut the door. And
PM.
6 p.m. Everyone can wait from 6 to 9 until my kids go to bed. Everybody can wait. I don't care unless it's an emergency and you're on the hospital bed. Then I'll pick up your phone. Do that when you have a kid. Spend the time. Go on vacations. Live in the present. Everything else can wait. Your kids will remember those times more than you not being home. You'll make your money. You'll actually make more money because it's karma. So answer your question. Be the best father I can be the best husband I can be. My wife sacrifices staying home with my kids. It's not easy. I love you. It's so hard. Being the best son. My dad and my mom, they work with me. They quit their jobs. This is their livelihood. I'm doing everything in my power to give them the time I could and help them make deals and help them make money. My brother, who's raising a kid all by himself, 31 years old, no help, went through probably the toughest childhood one of the toughest kids I've ever seen grow up between me and him. Went through so much hard times. He's gonna be a millionaire. Watch, he's gonna be a millionaire, from nothing to a millionaire. And just helping everyone in my company, people that need me, people that need money, people that need help. I'm here for you. I will give the shirt off my back to anybody who needs it, who understands, and I just want to be the best person I can be. That's more important than business.
Incredible, man. Let me ask you one question. Do you love business brokering?